Welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. As always, I am Jordan here today. So today is Friday, February 14th, 15th, 16th, 2024. And if you've been watching the videos in order, I just picked up this Rock Hill Farms and this Hancocks. And what I decided to do is put these all together and do a head-to-head blind comparison. These are all mash bill 2, which is I guess for Buffalo Trace, it's kind of their high rye bourbon mash bill. I have these in order of proof as you see them. So starting on my left, probably your right, we have the Hancock, the Elmer T, Blantons, and the Blantons. Let me see if I got let me get some specs on here. So this was barrel dumped on November 11th, 2020. So this is a 2020 Blantons, and then a Rock Hill Farm. So this is 100 proof. This is 93. This is 90, and this is 88.9. The Hancocks, the Elmer T. Lee, and the Rock Hill Farms are all 2024 releases. So the only one that is not scratch that. They're all 2023 releases. The only one that is not is the Blantons. Now, also, if you've been following the videos, a while ago, I did a head-to-head blind of all the Buffalo Trace products that I had, or maybe we should say Sazerac products that I had. And even though originally I've always said I was not the biggest fan of Blanton's, again, none of the Buffalo Trace products do I have a problem with them. It's just, I like some more than others. The Blantons, when I originally reviewed it and drank it and whatever else, I was not, it just wasn't my preference. But it was perfectly well and good. When I did my head-to-head blind, it won out over everything, including my E.H. Taylor, which I really, really like. Like, in my mind, that is my favorite Sazerac or Buffalo Trace product. But these four are the mash bill number 2s that I own. And they're all relatively low proof. So the highest one up here is 100 proof. Now, if you've watched my previous reviews of the Rock Hill Farms and the Hancocks, they were very rye spice forward. They were a little bit bitey, not proofy. Well, I mean, they were a little bit proofy too. The proof came forward much stronger than what proof they actually sat at, and the rye spice was very, very sharp on the back end of all of them, and it almost had that bitter tannic oakiness to them. Mixed with that rice spice, which kind of bumped it up even more. So I'll be very, very interested to see how this goes. We're going to pour them, mix them up. As always, I'm mixing them up on camera. So this is B, C, D, and E. So B, C, D, E, just so everybody has it on camera. I'm going to mix them up. I do not pay attention as I'm mixing them. I'm not trying to keep track of stuff. I don't care. I don't care who wins or who doesn't. I'm just going to give you my honest feedback and my honest opinions as they come. And if it turns out that, so like I said previously, Bland's one, if it turns out this is the bottom, then hey, that's the bottom. I am 3 hours removed from having eaten. So I got, hopefully that doesn't affect things too much. Yeah, we're just going to get into this and see where everything lines up. But we're going to mix them up. And then after we mix them up, we're going to go from my left to right. Stop, take a break. I should probably go get some water. And then we're going to go from my right to left back down the lineup, and we will see who ends up coming out on top. Trying to get a reasonable amount in here, although this Hancock seems like it's a little bit more than it needs to be. Let's see there. 2 tablespoons, too. There we go. That's pretty close. Not perfect, but close enough. And then we'll get the Blantons. I will say, this mash bill number 2 out of all of the products, has some of the best bottle presentations of any of them. Like that Rock Hill Farms is quite a nice bottling. I like the Blantons, of course, and then even the Elmer T. Lee's not too bad, but this is quite a nice decanter shape here. Um, it's not bad. Now I have found all of these products for pretty much MSRP. So sorry to everybody that has paid through the nose or has paid exorbitant amounts of money for each of these bottles. The most expensive one out here for me right now is this Rock Hill Farms. I paid $100, which in 2024 that might be pretty close to all right. I've seen people, asking $350, $400 for it. Blantons, I believe I'm bringing up my spreadsheet right now so I can tell you exactly in a couple of minutes what I paid, but I believe the Blantons I paid like $46 back in 2020, maybe 2021. The Elmer T. Lee I paid not very much, $27, $28, something like that. So here we go. Blanton single barrel, I paid $46.49. The Elmer T. Lee, I paid $28.79. The Hancocks President's Reserve, I paid $46.89. And then the Rock Hill Farms, I paid $99.99. So by far the most expensive. And I know on camera that this is not going to look like I'm really doing much to mix these up, but, for me, I am definitely not focusing on where they are. I'm just focusing on not spilling them because in the past I've done this before and I always take and clink one or two together. Now, I know that I could probably look through the whiskey and through onto the sticker on the bottom of the glass and see the letter and whatever else. But like I said, I'm not going to cheat. I don't really care who wins. I think what's more important is, we just kind of see what happens. Like just looking at these, they're pretty close in color. This is the darkest maybe. This might be the next darkest, and then this one, and then this one. We'll just see where they're at. I think I'm just going to go through and nose them all real quick. Very Buffalo Trace, very fruity. That one had a little bit darker note. This one has more confectioner brown sugar in it. So, so far, they all smell extremely similar, which is interesting. Oh, and that one's probably the lightest in the nose as far as very almost effervescent, if that's a word. Like it almost kind of sparkles in my nostrils. They are very, very, very similar in the glass, which is interesting because the flavor profiles from memory for me of these are not anywhere near each other. But I mean, they all have that very sweet, sugary, confectioner sugar forward, like powdered sugar, with an apple or a cherry blossom, kind of a florally component to it in the background, mixed with a little bit of honey and a little bit of oak. So there we go. There's that. We're gonna drop this whiskey list down. We'll see how this goes. We're already 9 minutes in before we even start drinking, so here we go. First taste. Sweeter up front. Has a very dry, bitey center to it. Not very bitey. It's dry. Has a little bit of a bite to it. Mixed with a sweet confectioner sugar on the back end. I'm gonna say that this one, just guessing, is probably that Hancock's. Although it might be the Rock Hill Farms. Very similar flavor profile, thinner. If I had to guess, I'm gonna say that's Elmer T. Lee. Okay, so now all of a sudden this one has more of a fruity cherry, but it's almost like it's more vibrant with ethanol in it. but it's like the same profile, just cranked up a little bit, and the ethanol's coming forward a little bit more. Ooh, I want to say that's probably the Blanton. So far, so that one didn't have the bite to it. I don't remember Blanton's having a bite. The Elmer T. Lee, I remember having a thin bite, which is why I think that one is. Ooh, this is all just sugary goodness in the glass right now. Brown sugar. Oop, went a little crazy with the swirl there. There's a tannic note in that one. So, again, I'm just guessing. I have no idea. I think I'm switching. I think this is Rock Hill Farms. I think this is the Hancocks. I didn't get as much bitter tannic notes, rye spice out of these two, and none of them did I get the rye spice that I was getting when I individually reviewed the Rock Hill Farms and the Hancocks. But both of these have way more oaky tannin bitterness than these two. And I'm going to put that one here. And then we'll come back. So right now we got first, second, third, fourth. We'll come back to those. Let me go get some water quick. We'll edit some of that down. Get a good cleanse there. Yeah, it's not none of these are as bitter as I was remembering from just a couple days ago. But we'll go back through. We'll see what I think. Now all of a sudden this one does not have, like, going through the first time it was like just sugary sweet bomb. Now it's more floral, cherry, not as much sugar. That water that was still on my tongue took some of that bitterness away. And instead of bitter, it was just oakiness, not tannic, bitter, and oaky. Okay. We're going to leave that. Boy. We're going to leave that number 2. More subdued in the glass. Yeah. That one, same as before. It's more sweet. I can tell that I've had water on my palate because the oakiness in both of these has kind of pushed forward. And this was more tannic to start with, but on the second sip it wasn't as tannin. But same with this one, that bitterness, that astringency. I would say this one is now impacting that one. I'm picking up a little bit of that astringency in here, but I didn't get it on the first one. But I'm still leaving that as number 1 for now. This is very difficult. All 3 of these so far, going back the other direction, the flavor profiles have just fractured. They've shattered. They're very segmented, and the bitter tannin of the oak is pushing forward in a very sharp, harsh manner that I'm not really a fan of. And it's spilling over from glass to glass here. I'm going to leave that one where it's at. That was very floral in the glass. Just bitter tannic all the way across. So the wood dominated in all of these. What I'm guessing is going on is it is a combination of the rye spice with the wood that's coming out in all of these. None of these, the proof is really shining forward. And it's funny because, this is, I think, the high rye mash bill. I don't remember off the top of my head, but the mash bill number 2 is either 12 or 15%. I don't remember which of rye. And that is not very much rye really at all. And so for it to be coming forward as much as it is, it's very interesting. This Blantons, I'm just gonna see if there's a age statement on here or a distilled date on here. I don't think there is. It's unfortunate. I know there's not really age statements on very many of these at all. And they're kind of ranging in that 6 to 10 year range on most of them, I do believe. So right now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4. And I want to say that this 4 might get pushed up. I'm going to go back one more time, left to right, just because that was a very different experience. Okay, a little bit more sweetness came forward. I almost feel like that's the Rock Hills there. A lot of bitter tannin on the finish. But there was sweetness up front. Simpler, easy drinking. I'm gonna move that up. Move this down. Right now this is 3, 4. That might get pushed forward more. So far this was number 1. I'm gonna keep that number 1. Now here's the thing. For me, what I'm grading this on is my enjoyability out of it. Some people really like that high oak impact, that bitterness. For me, I keep saying this, but it's oak mixed with rye spice. Now, I like rye spice. I mean, I'm a big fan of rye whiskey itself. The way that this is coming together, though, with that oak, it's just a bitter, astringent flavor. Not really a huge fan of that in this particular lineup. Doing this head to head, I've gotten more astringency out of these than out of anything. Man, this thing has an amazing nose though, which man, when I did my review of Hancocks and Rock Hill Farms, the nose was just phenomenal, but it came through with that rye spice like and astringency, excuse me, in the middle of the flavor profile, and that's what burned out the whole finish and everything. And I just wasn't a fan of that. That one's drinking much nicer right now. Completely in the dark. The highest proof here was 100 proof. I'm not positive I could pick that out right now. Nothing here is drinking hot. They all have a very similar flavor profile. It's just a matter of like what level that astringency is at. I don't know. We're gonna stick with what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4. So number 1 is C. C. So BC is Elmer T. Lee. Number 1 came in with Elmer T. Lee. Number 2, B, is the Hancocks, which I'm pretty sure I said that this and this one was either Hancocks or the Rock Hill Farms, and then this one. So if this is Hancock's, this has to be the Rock Hill Farms. And even though the Rock Hill Farms is the highest proof, that proof really didn't come out in here in the comparison. So number 3 then is D, which is our Blantons. So I got these two correct. I didn't head shoot it, like I didn't say that this one was Elmer T. Lee and this one was Blanton's. I said that these two glasses were one or the other. And then once again, boom, here we go. E, this is the Rock Hill Farms. So for me personally, with the 2023 bottlings, they're very astringent forward. They're very, I can't even say that. These are all single barrel products, I do believe. Single barrel. Elmer T. Lee might not be a single barrel. Let me look. Single barrel, single barrel, single barrel. Now, maybe because I live in Wyoming, they just crap on us and give us all the bad single barrels. I don't know. But I have not had good luck with single barrel products in Wyoming, Montana, and South Dakota when it comes to the big, big nationwide brands. Buffalo Trace being the major one of those. When I get one of those bottlings, I am not very impressed with it. Everybody raves about X, Y, and Z and how great it is, and it's a single barrel. I've not been that impressed with it. Another one is the Henry McKenna 10-year. Go back, watch my review of that. I was not a big fan of that particular one. Again, you can find some honey barrel bottlings in there as well, but I did not. It was run of the mill. In fact, I drank some last night. It was good. It wasn't amazing or great, and definitely not worth the $75 I paid for it, or people pay way more than that for it. It's just not worth it for me. None of these whiskeys are worthy of much more than MSRP. The exceptions, the Elmer T. Lee and the Blantons, in my opinion, if you can get them for under $60, yes, which is way over MSRP. You know, like I said, I paid $46 for this, for the Blantons. You know, people are paying way above that. I would not. It is okay. It is good. I have no fault with it, but they're not. None of these are so amazing that I think they're worth chasing. I did not chase any of these. They happen to be in the store. They happen to be in the store here in town that doesn't rip you off and charges you MSRP or close to it, maybe a little bit over. And I was like, hey, why not? You know, kind of, I'm not bragging, but like, you know, Weller Antique 107, I think I paid $38 for. The Special Reserve, I paid $23 for. Before they switched distributors, when Buffalo Trace was readily available a year ago and beyond, you know, Buffalo Trace in that store was $19.89 all day long, every day, including store picks. I paid $22.20 something cents for Eagle Rare. And I'm still working on getting my hands on it because they're working on getting their hands on it. But Stag, what, you know, formerly Stag Junior, was under $60. So like, as long as you can get these things for at or around those, E.H. Taylor, I think I paid $37 for. As long as you can get whiskey at or around those prices, sure. And a lot of other reviews of these whiskeys are, you know, people are over the moon about them. I am, and again, single barrel product. That's how I started this ramble. Single barrel products, so you never know what you're gonna get. You could get something that is just mind-boggling, amazing. These bottles before you are not that. None of these are so amazing that I'm like, oh, you definitely got to go get your hands on one of these. Um, yeah, they're good, especially if you like rye. Mine are all fairly astringent. Again, I don't know. Do they crap on Wyoming and just go, hey, we're going to give you some of these bad or worse bottlings? I don't know. It's possible. I also don't think that there's any kind of conspiracy out there to do so. But if you look at just kind of the numbers game of things, like not very many bottles are coming here. Um, Side tangent, just to make this an even longer video, why not? I still have an unopened bottle of Evan Williams single barrel that I bought. Golly, let me see if I have a date on this. Let me find my bottle in my spreadsheet here. Evan Williams. Hold on, give me a minute. Give me a minute. Sorry for the dead airspace. I'm looking. Four Roses. Here we go. Evan Williams single barrel. $26.99. Ooh, and this was before I put dates on things. But I'm being honest, this channel's fairly old. I don't remember when I put my first video up, but it was like 2019, 2020, somewhere in there. Not long after I started this channel, which is kind of pathetic to admit because I have such a small following. But I started this channel before COVID, before whiskey channels became a thing, and because I never promoted it or anything, it's all organic. So if you found this channel, I had nothing to do with it. There was only like 3 or 4 whiskey channels when I started this channel, and now there's hundreds. So kind of lost in the mix. But when I started this, I think it was fall of 2020 sometime, something like that. I was paying $26.99 for an Evan Williams single barrel. I believe the price is like 30 something dollars now. And if you go back, look at my review of the Evan Williams, my sound, audio, you know, my audio, visual, everything about that was terrible. So it's a horrible video to suffer through as far as watching, but I was not a fan of it. I also had another bottle, the one that's unopened. It might be from the same barrel. I don't remember because I think it was from the same case. So questionable. But I know a lot of people think that the Evan Williams single barrel was not a terrible bottle, and I was not on board with that. So again, because it's a single barrel product, very well could be that just happened to be that that was one of those single barrels that wasn't good, ended up here. But over time now, I got several single barrels that I'm not enthralled with. Um, Not very far into these bottles, so maybe they'll open up a fair bit more. But I don't drink them very often. We had the Elmer T. Lee. We had Elmer T. Lee and the BTAC William LaRue Weller when we were in Deadwood, South Dakota. My wife and I went there for just overnight. It's only 2.5 hours away, so we went over there, and we both really enjoyed it. We had it at Saloon 10, where they have, I don't know, 200 whiskeys there. Those bottles were pretty opened up at the time. Gosh, I want to say we paid $10 or $15 for that, and then we paid $20 for the William LaRue Weller for a pour, 20 or 40. It was pretty expensive. And that, I liked it enough that I thought, hey, that's worth buying. So I did. But there you go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one of those things that it just depends on the day. And I have to say, all 4 of these were similar enough, especially after I drank some water and after I went head to head back and forth between them, that it was very close, very tight. This Rock Hill Farms being the one exception that had the most bitterness to it. I am not a fan of that bitter, astringent oak note. But all the rest of these, these 3, man, if I were to do this tomorrow, I could have a completely different ranking on. So take from that what you will. I know that probably doesn't help you out too much. The bottom line is none of these bottles, in my unprofessional opinion, is worth specifically chasing and hunting and spending large amounts of money for. They're okay. They're good. There's nothing really wrong with them, but there's also nothing worth paying exorbitant amounts of money. And I'm actually kind of regretting even spending the $100 on that Rock Hill Farms. But like I said, maybe it'll open up with some time here. We'll see. As always, drop in the comments down below any experiences you have. If you have any of these bottles, what you paid for them, what you can find them for in your area, if you can find them. I know that these are Buffalo Trace Sazerac products. They're very hard to find in a lot of places. A lot of places are doing lotteries on this kind of stuff, and you're paying stupid amounts of money. Let this be a lesson to you. If you have to pay a crazy amount of money for it, I know there's a lot of hype behind these products, no matter what product it is. Most of them, in my opinion, are not worth the hype. Like I said, go back, watch my video. I have now officially had all the Pappy and the Rip, Old Rip, the Van Winkle lineup. I've had all of them. I have not had the entire BTAC lineup. I haven't had the Eagle Rare 17, and I haven't a Handy 17, LaRue, Stag. What's the last one? Which one am I missing? I'm missing one of the BTACs. I've had 4 of the 5. I don't remember what the one I'm missing is off the top of my head for some reason. Completely blanking on it. So I'm missing one of the BTACs. Now again, all of those products, tons of flavor drift, tons of different experiences. To compare one year to the next I don't think you can. They're so disparate in their variety that there's really no comparison. So when somebody's really going, oh, you got to have XYZ, I'm going to throw the BS flag and say, maybe. Even the standard Buffalo Trace, which you should not pay more than $20 for. I have a store pick that is okay, and just the standard run of the mill off the shelf Buffalo Trace. It's a good, easy drinking whiskey. Again, wouldn't pay more than $20 for it. So there's so many other things. There's so many other varieties. I think you would serve yourself a lot better if you were looking for products other than the Sazerac Buffalo Trace lineup. They're way overhyped in my opinion. Yeah, I mean the E.H. Taylor really is the only one, and I haven't had the single barrel product yet. I can get my hands on that. So the two I'm hunting are Stag and E.H. Taylor single barrel. If I can find those for MSRP somewhere, or thereabouts, I will buy them. I'm not going to pay $100, $200, $300 and up for them. I know I could have bought a Stag last year in Montana. They wanted $350. No, not anywhere near worth it. Even if it's good, my experience, me being a tight ass and not wanting to spend money, there's no whiskey worth that much money. Period. End of story. No whiskey is worth that because if I'm spending that kind of money, it's got to be, darn near orgasmic and mind blowing. And there is no such thing. I've had some really good whiskey, not worth that much money. So that's my 2 cents. You drop your 2 cents in the comments below. Let me know what you think. As always, thanks for watching. You guys have yourselves a great day. Sorry this was a long video, but that's what I got. We'll catch you in the next one.